Yes, sir.
You can start with your presentation now.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. My name is Ibrahim Farid. Today's topic is monetary policy and the various factors influencing the Indian stock market. Here's the introduction topic. Like we are majorly focusing on the Indian stock market returns. Like for the Indian stock market returns, how the monetary policy and the various factors are influencing and the changing the growth of or diminishing their growth. First, starting those things, as I said before, the various factors are like the interest rate. The interest rate, the lower interest rate reduce the borrowing costs and the making the stocks more attractive and the boosting the market returns. And the same thing, the inflation, when as I said, the monetary policy, in the RBI raises the return to control the inflation, which may hurt the market returns and lower them the inflations in encouraging the investments and boosting the returns. And the same thing in the foreign investors also. They think about the returns what they are investing. As I said, the many countries are focusing on the same thing.
मोटू
If
पेन
the
दे दे
return is very well,
पेन दे दे
then
मोटू
definitely the
मोटू
foreign
पेन दे
investors
दो
are going to attack those countries. The market liquidity is also the same thing. The increases the
हमारी
liquidity
कैसे पढ़ा
through
था
the RBI actions can enhance the investment confidence and the drive through the stock returns. The major thing is the how the stock returns are performing by
पेन ला
the
के दे मुझे
monetary
पेन पेंसिल
policies and
कुछ
the
दे
various factors. And this is the conceptual frames, which is the conceptual phase illustrating the impact of monetary policies on the Indian stock market returns. The main arrow points from the independent variables in the monetary policies to the dependent variables in the stock market returns. It moderates moderates variables like FIIs, DIIs, and market capitalization, exchange rate volatility, and inflation may direct arrows with both independent variables and the dependent variables. Significantly, they moderate effects. And the control variables the time period and the industry sectors. These are the control variables also we have. And
I'm sorry to break. Sorry to break. I think the PPT is not. The slide is not moving. I think.
Hmm.
Can you shift the slide?
Yes, it is
this is
difficult to
this
understand what you are saying. Your PPT is stuck,
Yeah,
and you have
yeah.
gone
I
to
think it's
maybe
the first
slide number
page.
3 or 4. Carry on.
okay. Can I start from the beginning, sir, for the conceptual frame?
No, no, no. You just take your slides slowly forward, and I understood your concept. Take us to
Yes,
the
sir.
final slide where you are right now. Go slow. Okay, just give, let's say,
Uh,
30-second pause on every slide, so that if I have any observation, I'll take it on my notebook and we'll go to your final slide. Carry on.
yes, sir, sure, sir. I think, as I said before, now the monetary policies are how are playing the major role in which all of the fields like FII, DI. FII is the foreign instrumental investors like that, and the market capitalization and the stock market. These are the dependency factors and independent factors also will consider in these factors. And next one is the research methodology. Here are the we are going to discuss now is the objectives of studies and the research design. How it will be the research we're
Khalil,
going to conduct in our
Ibrahim, sorry to interrupt. I'm still not seeing any change in your slides. It is your first slide which is stuck. I'm not able to see any change. Now it's visible. Now it's visible. Anyway, we intentionally holded you back. Kindly go back to the first slide and then move forward.
sure, sir. Now it's visible, sir.
Now it is visible. Just hold on for a minute.
Yes, sir. These are all the factors which are going to affect or enhance the Indian stock market returns, like the interest rate, inflation controls, and the foreign investments and the market liquidation.
You can go to the next.
Yes, sir. This is the conceptual framework, which is impact the monetary policies of Indian stock market returns. The main arrow points of the independent variables in monetary policy and the dependent variables stock market returns.
Just hold on. Uh,
Yes, sir.
you see, okay, no problem. I'll ask you questions later.
Yes, sure, sir. And now, sir, it's visible, right, sir?
It is available to me. Objectives. How many objectives do you have?
Majorly, we are focusing two objectives here. This is not for the research gap objectives. I will discuss later that one. But this is the research. I mean, what we are conducting research, right? For that purpose, mentioned here. Like these analyzes the inflation of monetary policies, decisions like interest rate challenges, changes in the open market operations and the stock market returns, and examine the impact of other relevant factors like economic indicators, government policies, and the foreign investments in Indian stock market. In the research design, like I mean, which all are the fields the targeted audience and how we're going to the frame and what is the size? Which size of the companies we are going to concentrate and how we're going to take those. How we're going to segment those research things like in the target population, the all companies listed in the major Indian stock market like NSE and SEBI, and sampling frame will be the companies from the stock exchange. Like of course, we're majorly focusing on the public companies over here, and sample size will be chosen using the statistical data which are available in their own company's websites and in the stock exchange, NSE and SEBI over there. And sampling techniques will be the random sampling used with the companies will be grouped by sector wise, like large cap, mid cap, small cap. Based on that, we are going to evaluate those companies, how they are actually affecting for the companies. And so this one is visible for you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And the sources will be as I said, the monetary policy is a huge topic, so there's nothing difficult to get the data get the data from the online. Like if you're going to in the stock market, we can get indexes data from the, as I said before,
Ibrahim,
NSI, SEBI,
Ibrahim, Ibrahim,
selected periods in the month.
Ibrahim.
So
Hold on for a minute. You see, this topic is actually put up together by you and Santosh collectively.
yes, sir.
So I want now
Yes.
Santosh to take up this presentation forward.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So, so the data we are going to collect are from the, mainly from NSE and BSE's index funds, and also the monetary policy data. Since we are talking about that, all the repo rates, reverse repo rate, whatever the RBI has made changes into the, towards the period of time, we are going to take that data into consideration, and we're also taking the macroeconomic data of the, like, GDP growth of the country, what is the inflation rate at certain period of time, and what is the inflation over the period of 10 years, something like that, and also the unemployment and also the forex rates compared to the US dollars, how much it is going to affect us, and all the little database we're going to collect from there. That data we can easily get from RBI data sets also, and also the government policy data, whatever the the monetary policies and the fiscal policies, whatever the policies they're going to imp- implement over the past 10 years period of time, we are going to take that as a source of consideration for source of data. And regarding the foreign investment data, we can get these data from SEBI and stock exchange. How much the inflows are, whenever there is a change in the the monetary policies, how much the inflows happen or how much the outflows happen. We are going to consider that data types to to consider for the research. So regarding the analysis technique, we are using correlation and regression analysis, and this will help us in measuring the relationship and the impact of variables on stock returns. And we are also using event study to assess the short-term effects of monetary policy announcements. And we're also using granular causality tests to explore causality linked between policies, investments, and returns. The software we are planned to use was SPSS to analyze this data. Khalil, can you shift the next slide?
yes, yeah, yeah. I already done. Now it's visible.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's done. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the research gap. So interaction of monetary and fiscal policies. As Khalil said before, we have identified some research gaps regarding how the monetary and fiscal policies impact or not, particularly noted for any changes in the stock market return, whether it's going up or whether it's going down. So that we are going to make use of it, and we are also planning down to cut down as per sector specific research. So we have identified three sectors: that's automotive, metal, and reality, so that we don't want to have we don't want to do every sector analysis, so that our study will be focused only on these three sectors. And and also for the index inclusion, we are focusing majorly on Nifty 50, and the Nifty mid cap and small cap. These three index we are going to have as a benchmark to understand how the the policy returns are being made out of it. And regarding the impact of other investment classes, we also uh, find that relationship between stock market returns and other asset classes like mutual funds, ETFs, and other derivative market instruments. It also includes the overall market performance, how they are changing as per the monetary policy or fiscal policy made by it. And the last part is the corporate governance, the role of corporate, how much the investors are impacted during the during this action, and how companies are companies leaders have seen limited research. This is crucial area for understanding investment confidence and the stock returns.
Yes, sir. Before going the reference part, for the research gap, I'm going to tell you about the objective. What the actual main objective is that to find the effect of the monetary policy amendment in the Indian stock market, written especially focusing on Nifty Auto and Nifty Reality. And the thing is to find the impact of FIIs and DIS in Indian stock market. This is the major two objectives we are identified by this research gaps, and this will be the reference part which we collected the data for all those things. Thank you, sir.
Khalil, why have you not mentioned your main objectives in your PPT?
Like what thing?
I'm saying the points that you quoted just now. Your study is
Yes,
supposed
sir.
to be on a particular sector like automobile and couple of other domains that you quoted. Why this is not in
Yes, sir.
written form in your PPT? Yes, this is what we are looking for. Your objectives of your study that you are going to actually achieve in your entire project work. You're keeping them verbal.
No, sir. Actually, I thought this will be the better by putting in verbal. Is I thought.
You see, when you write, I do have an evidence that you what you quoted is A, B, C. When you're putting it
Yes,
in
sir.
verbal, means I don't have any evidence. Earlier, you
Okay.
showed me
No.
another research objectives in your presentation. It may be in slide 2 or slide 3, maybe this slide.
Yes, sir.
So, what you quoted just now, are they same as these objectives of the study?
No, no, sir. This objective says that, I mean, which all are the factors are affecting and which all are the factors we need to consider. But what I now I put it, the objectives are saying that in by studying the research gap, we observe those objectives in that research gap.
So you see,
That's what I put it now.
we need to understand these may be your research questions, cannot be your research objective in this slide number 4. These are your
Okay.
research questions, broader area. Then you need to point out your research objective very precisely, defining the sectors. And it has to be black and white. Because when I'm supposed to punch your title on UMS, it has to be clearly mentioned. You cannot change your objectives later. Once it is punched, you cannot even change a word in it. Chalo, no issues.
Okay.
Let me go back to your first slide. Take me back to your first slide.
Yes, sir.
Now you see, it looks very vague when you have one side you have monetary policy, and then like next is like various factors influencing Indian stock market. You see, what do you mean by various factors? Because this is a very open domain. Open domain means you can have any and every. There is no
Yes,
limit to
sir.
it. You study 100 papers, you'll find 100 researcher putting up 150 or 200 variables in it, different variables which may be influencing it. Okay, so what then you have to do is like you need to list out all those 100 150 variables, group them into like some uniform homogeneous groups, and then you need to figure out which variable group are you going to take up. This is going to be very lengthy cumbersome exercise. So can you help me with, I'm just raising my questions, you can take a note of it, or you can check the recordings later to list out all these questions and think on it and then come back again with an answer next time. Now you see,
Yes, sir.
can you show me any paper where similar sort of wording is there? Various factors. This is very general, open ended. Try to restrict your study with some keywords. Okay, like monetary policy is clearly defined. In certain discussions during your presentation, you also brought in fiscal policy. Okay, so government policies you are looking in. So, whatever are you going to study, try to either incorporate them directly into your title, or try to use standard words which are used by other researchers. Okay, second, now you
Yes.
see, you're talking about interest rates. So you the timeline which I saw at one point of time in your presentation, you said 10 years. You see, in banking system, interest rate varies very fast. You may have your data. I saw once on RBI site that this type of data is also accessible, where if a bank is changing interest rate at least 30-40 times in a year, so you have 10 years timeline, so it is 300 times. And imagine every bank has their own interest rate mechanism. So which interest rate are you going to refer here for just doing your correlation regression analysis? Second thing, inflation control. You see, you have this element of inflation control. This is like, you see, when we talk this thing in monetary policy, we have quantitative as well as qualitative measures to control inflation. Now, when you are writing inflation control, which method are you speaking on? Is it quantitative ones or the qualitative ones? So, if you are using only quantitative, my question to you will be, why are you excluding the qualitative ones? Okay, so need to have a clarity as to what you are doing, which segment are you going to cover, and which segment are you going to exclude. And there has to be a strong reason for an exclusion. Okay, supported by literature. Next, foreign investment. Again, you see, this domain is very wide. Foreign investments, what are you saying in actually in when you are saying something on what is foreign investment? Your definition needs to be very clear and precise. Market liquidity, how do you measure this liquidity? What ratio or financial parameter are you going to use it for measuring this liquidity parameter? Is it cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity reserve, or something else? You need to be very clear on. And you have to mention somewhere in your report, ki sir, when I am speaking on liquidity, I am trying to express it in this manner. This is a definition taken by ABC researcher who has defined this word liquidity, and they are considering these two, three ratios into it. Okay, so we will limit our study to some limited number of variables only. We cannot keep it open for every. Okay, can you change the slide?
Yes, sir.
So I have a question regarding that. If you are going to limit to any one ratio, whether the study will be perfect or something like that, whether it will deviate something,
No, 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 no. You see,
is
when you
is it
say,
fine? Is it fine to
no, no,
have
no, it
something
is
like that?
not at all fine. You see, it is not at all fine. But looking into your timeline, which is 3 months plus 3 months, 6 months, how can you work on more than one variable? Or let's say, I don't say one, two, or five. I don't have any constraint. You tell me how many variables are you doing? Because right now it is total confusion. You don't have any clarity. Make a list of it. You should have an annexure where you mention it, that these are the 20 variables that we are going to capture. So that when I'm looking into your data analysis, I'm looking into those 20 variables data and their output, how they're influencing your title. Okay, so
Sir,
limit means how you're going to limit. That is, I'm saying you have to put a limit using some statistical method. Okay, you may, what I can suggest you in this is, let's say you are doing a review of 100 research papers, and in every research paper you find authors attempting their study on some variables. Make a list of it. Paper 1, variable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Likewise, you prepare an Excel sheet. Once you are done with 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 papers, you understand which variables are dominant ones where everyone is using them for sure, and which are the excluded ones. Randomly, sometimes they are being picked up by researchers. So, when are you going to do this short listing of few variables out of a bigger lot? You need to have some logic in it. Okay, you need to have some logic, you need to have some literature support, you need to have a grid which tells you that these are the most active ones, these are the most dominant ones. They are studied not only in Indian context but also outside. So you have to take researcher support with you when you shortlist some of your variables and exclude majority of them out. Okay, so it cannot be
Okay.
done due to personal biasness. And you say data is, does have data in email rack, so can we go with only few? No, that is not the right way of shortlisting any variable. So what you need to do is like pick up something which is like acceptable by your research fraternity. How you do it? See some literature review, see some, like let's say there is a concept called as thematic paper, theme wise paper. No, it is not thematic paper, it is I'll tell you a
sir,
keyword. I'll tell you a keyword. Meta analysis on your topic which you are working on. Then there you see researchers must have worked on similar sort of grids. If you don't have time to do it of your own, you take a reference of some paper where it is done in a very craftily manner. Take the reference, cite that paper, use that grid to list your key variables and limiting some of the variables that you don't feel they are counted by the industry. Okay, and then
Okay.
once you shortlist, do take some one-to-one qualitative feedback from some of the economists. You need to have at least two economists. And you can have a senior professor, not assistant or associate professor. You need to have a professor of economics who is going to give his opinion on your list of items which you are going to shortlist. Okay, this is called as, you see, you are doing content analysis and you are taking the feedback from an expert. One is, I said, professor who is easy to tap in your university. Second is, you try to get it from an industry expert. Okay, a serving economist in any of your government department, or government or private sector, no problem. You see, State Bank of
Okay.
India do have economic analysts, so you can have their opinion. So what you need to do is, like, you see what you're doing. You're listing some of the variables through literature review, plus you're also validating the fact by taking the feedback of experts in the form of a interview. What we can do, we'll give them
Okay.
the list. They'll highlight, okay, these are variables which are very important, these are variables which are not important. Okay, so when you're doing it like this, no one can ask you why you shortlisted it like this. You have a methodology which is an approved one.
Yeah, backed by expert.
Correct. Then how you
So
set these
same thing,
directions.
I need to ask something.
Huh.
If we don't add this various factor influencing, just we'll take it as a topic like monetary policies which are going to affect or influence the Indian stock market. How about this?
You see, then
Remove that the various factors.
in that case, problem will happen ki, like, you see, when you see the impact of monetary policy, you cannot have a good result in your findings. Why? Because it is not only the monetary factor which is influencing your share market returns. Your title is monetary policy and various factors influencing Indian stock market returns. My question was there in my mind, what do you mean by return? What return are you speaking? Is it the nominal one? Is it the real ones? What returns? How do you define this word return? And when you say let's exclude your various factors, now I suggest you one thing, don't take my opinion, but take the reference of some good paper and see how the people are attempting such studies. You need to have some reference. Without reference, it's tough.
One second, sir. How about this? I have a look here. We just will go with. I mean, whenever when we are doing this document, on that time we studied nearly five four research papers. On that time they mentioned like this:
Huh? You
the
see,
ending year of
I
the
don't have
fund.
any problem. I don't have any problem. Bring me standardized papers which are of good quality where it is mentioned like this. We can go ahead with it. You see, need to understand. I'm a criticizer right now. I have to understand what you are doing. Is it fair? Is it acceptable by publication industry? Your methodology is being tested right now. So if you can prove me with some research paper of good quality, I don't have any problem. I will withdraw my stand. I'm no one into this. My research background is not good. Okay, I'm just putting up my thoughts across, like, these are my doubts. Some of the suggestions I know, I'll try to give it to you. You have to finalize your model. Okay, now you
Yes,
see,
sir. Yes,
I find your objective, if it is there in written form, then I might have commented or given my suggestions. Right now, I don't have, I cannot comment. You need to see about the sequence, you need to see about the variables that you're using in your objectives. You need to understand, if you're using a word impact, how are you going to measure that impact? You should understand the methodology of measuring it, evaluating it. Okay, if you don't know and you are simply writing, I will measure it, will study the impact, you don't know how to measure it, is something which is very dangerous. Okay, so because you see, Granger casualty test you mentioned somewhere, I would like to know whether it is a parametric test or a non-parametric test. I have never used it, this is new for me.
yes, sir.
Your research design is good. You see, I saw your research design where you are mentioning that you are taking companies from NSE and BSE, means listed companies only. One, where
Yes.
listed company will have their data transparency. Second, you have mentioned, like, sample size. You have not mentioned anything clearly. You have kept it into confusion. No problem. We can work on it. Sampling you have mentioned as stratified, and then what you did is you have figured out three sections: small, mid, and large cap. And then you are going to pick
Yes,
some
sir.
companies from all of them three. Is good, is good. Okay, but now you are saying random sample. You know what is random means?
There is nothing particular point for that.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no. You see, need to
no
understand.
proper. It's like
There are, let's say there are 100 students in a section. What do you
Yes.
mean by random? Random means we'll do a lottery.
No, I see. If you're taking going to the large cap, on that time we will just consider 50 to 100 companies, right? In
Hmm.
the top 50 to 100 companies.
Hmm.
In those companies, we're not going to calculate the whole 50 companies, right? So in the mid cap, it will come 100 to 250 companies. In
Hmm.
the between of top 100 to 250, and small cap will be above 500.
I'm saying, what
We,
is your
we are
sample
not
in
going,
it? Are you going to cover everyone, or you are going to take a like proportion? 50 companies into
no
this.
proportion, sir.
You are going to take
It's
proportion.
like,
My point is,
I,
let's say if
no,
you
sir.
have a total of 100 companies into small cap, and you have to
Yes,
take a
sir.
proportion of only 20 companies out of it, not the 100,
Yes, sir.
but the only 20. Which 20 will you take? If you say random, every company has equal chance. You do lottery and you pick companies. But random word is not okay. What you need to do, you need to say there has to be some criteria defined by you as per the need of your study. Should try to pick big companies. Try to pick companies whose exposure is more as compared to the other ones. Even if it is small cap, pick the top 20, top 10. Rational should
Yes,
fit in like this. It should not be randomly picked up companies. Randomly is okay. But now you see, when you are picking the top 20, you may have better results. When you go for
that's
anyone
right.
and everyone, or the least one in your small cap segment, maybe your result may differ. So you think on it how you are going to bring in this thing. Uh,
Sure.
can you go to the next slide? Change the slide. Hey, go to the that research proposed research model slide where blue color chart is there, and you have made so
Yes,
many
ma'am.
variables in it. The previous one, slide number 3.
Yes, sir. This one. Is that visible, sir?
No, for me it is research methodology slide visible. Now
Wait
it's
a
okay.
please.
Yeah.
Now,
Now it's okay. Now it's okay. Can you tell me what is this? You are making arrows in both
uh,
the direction. If you see any research paper, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll try to give you my suggestion. Okay, this is a recorded session, and hence I'm acknowledging it. Ki I don't know the precise information. Maybe what you're doing is correct. I'm just creating a doubt. Now, can it be possible that
uh,
you do have arrow in both the directions? You go forward, you go come backward. In
no, no, no,
research,
sir. It's about the dependent and independent variables.
So let's take two variable here in your picture. One is monetary policy
Uh,
and one is FII. Now,
yes, sir.
where is this arrow heading? It is having two-sided, two heads on both the sides. So it should have only unidirection, one direction. Let's say FII do have an effect on monetary policy, or monetary policy having an effect. So you see, your arrow direction is important. Here, what you have done is not the right way of doing it. And you see
I
how
know,
many
sir.
variables?
Actually,
One, two, three,
we
four, five.
got this picture from the research paper, so we just pasted over there, and then
Relook, or if can you share me that research paper now? The screenshot
I
of that
need
paper.
to search it because when we are making the report on that time only we did this one.
I gave you a
So need to
surety.
I'll send it to you, sir. I'll search
What
it
I
by
feel
the
is
email.
this is a bit vague diagram. It has to be
Yes.
unidirectional. Start from A to B, B to C, A to C. Likewise, it has to have a direction so that you can measure it. When it is both side, you have an arrow. I don't know how.
No,
Maybe
sir.
you see
You just
in
no,
what
sir. You just observe here the Indian stock market over the DII and the industrial sector in the time period. This will be the control variables. But in monetary policy, FII and market capitalization, these are the dependent and independent variables which are moderate. We can say it's a moderate variable.
what is a
So
moderate variable in this case? Which one is a moderator?
the FII and the monetary policy and the market capitalization and exchange rate of volatility and inflation.
Okay. So if it is a moderator, you see again what I'm suggesting is like relook into the diagram once again. It will be
Yes.
unidirectional. Then it may make sense. Like you say from monetary policy to exchange rate, and from exchange rate it is coming back to Indian stock market. This is I understand. But it has to have one direction which is important. And you see this is very complex. Complex means your model that you have drawn is very complex. See which software will help you to do this analysis. You use this term Granger casualty test. I don't know what is this test doing it. And I have not read it. I have not attempted it in any of my research paper. But if you're using this term, I'm sure that you must have understanding on how to use it. What type of data set is required? Uh, what is your source of your data? Have you seen any data source from where you can get all these data sets for 10 years free?
Uh, So for free, it's main thing. So normally the money control we can get it, and yes,
Can you open
one
money
more thing
control?
is
Can you open money control in your system and show it
yes,
to
sir.
us? Where it is 10-year data
Yes.
available on government policy, macroeconomic factors, monetary policy, everything that you're trying to cover up in your study.
No, sir, that one is not going to show here.
You know what is the frequency of reviewing your monetary policy? भाई तुम लोग अपना
Sir?
कैमरा ऑन नहीं कर रहे हो. मेरे को अभी याद आ रहा है. You need to put up your webcam when your presentation is over and I'm asking you questions. Put up your, हाँ.
Yes,
Now
sir.
it looks good. ये रिकॉर्डिंग में एटलीस्ट आना चाहिए ना कौन प्रेजेंटेशन में दूसरी साइड बैठा है. माई बैटरी इज़ वेरी लो. इट मे एग्जॉस्ट इन मे बी कपल ऑफ मिनट्स बट रिकॉर्डिंग इज ऑन. आई एम सेइंग हाउ फ्रीक्वेंटली इज योर लाइक व्हाट इज द फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ रिव्यूइंग योर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इन अ ईयर. कितनी बार यू डू रिव्यू संतोष?
I'm not sure about, sir. I'm not sure about the review part, but I think there will be a fixed time period. For example, the Fed rates come at September 19th, the previous week
No,
for
no,
US and all.
that's true. But what I'm
Uh,
saying is like
yeah,
In India, we have a fixed tenure
yeah,
on which we are going to review our monetary policy. You're doing an entire topic on monetary policy. You should understand
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what is the timeline. We do it bi-monthly, yani at least once in 2 months' time. So 6 times in a year you review your policy. So how many times will you do it in a 10-year time span? 60.
60
And
times. Yeah.
imagine how many times interest rate has changed. It is going to be a very complex subject that we are trying to cover up. So do you have any research paper where similar sort of study is done and you can replicate what they have done in their study? Only thing new is like now we have certain challenges in your presentation. One is what is the novelty of your topic when people already have worked on such similar sort of project. The only difference is their timeline may be old and you have just updated the data and come up with the same title once again. What is your novelty in your title? I'm just raising these questions. You can answer it in your
Yeah.
next presentation next time. Okay. Novelty is very important. Uh, how is your study different from existing literature? This is the same question. I'm asking it to you. You quoted timeline is 10 year. You have mentioned government policy from the website. Now, what government policies are you trying to take into consideration? Is it physical policy, fiscal policy? And when you say fiscal policy, what are you trying to cover up? Any particular quantitative variable? So that is where I was again doubting it. Ki one is you are saying monetary policy, second side you are taking fiscal policy, you are taking all heavy policies. So you should have some quantification done ki as to when you say fiscal policy, what variables. है ना? So is something again I have found it a bit tough. You are doing only a 6 month project. Keep it this thing in mind. One thing good in your presentation is like when you're using secondary data, doing analysis in Excel sheet is very fast. You can do it with just click one formula, you click it and you will be getting it for entire 10 years of time. But one major problem that you're going to face is like your data will not be on same timelines. Interest rate change may happen on different dates. Repo rate, reverse repo rate, and all other variables, inflation, they will have different timelines. How are you going to merge them together to study? Standardization is what I'm looking in is going to be a big trouble. You cannot standardize the timelines. So there may be variation. I'm just saying it. Read some papers, bring some reference where I look into those papers and get convinced with your thought and idea. Okay, so macroeconomic data is like again big variable. Granger test you quoted. I don't know whether is it a parametric test or a non-parametric test. Can anyone tell me?
Which one, sir?
This Granger
And
casualty test that you have. Which software?
That
Do you think SPSS will help you
it's,
in this Granger casualty test?
no, sir.
it's part of
No.
it.
Yes. What is this? Which software?
No, sir, no idea. I think
I tell
it
you,
might be in his school, sir.
Dr. Suresh Kashyap sir, who is CUS to Mittal School of Business, I remember he taught a software once. I was a participant in it, but I don't have any interest in that software, hence I didn't learn. He was telling on this panel data analysis. This is panel data. Panel data analysis. Work on this concept, panel data analysis. See on YouTube how this type of data analysis can be done. What type of data do you require? Do you have any access for the same? I would like to see the sources because your study is all secondary study. Hence, source of your data is very important. I didn't found any source from your side. You should have mentioned some of the sites from where we can extract the data. Research paper is not from where we can get the data. It is like, you see, you need to have your own data sets. Own means from some source, reliable
Yeah.
source. So you have not mentioned any source in your uh, this presentation is again another area of concern. I suggest you one data source. Database on Indian economy, DBIE. Okay, this is the database of RBI. But one problem with you guys is earlier they used to give every data free. Now they have blocked it. They give it for current year, but if you need old data, then you have to pay for it. So you need to understand how to do this panel data analysis. You need to understand what type of data set is required for this type of analysis, and then maybe through RTI you can put up a request to RBI and extract your data, because if it is available in public domain, you pay the price and get the data in soft copy. Okay, so you need to think on so many variables. I am sure that you did a hard work. You reached to this conclusion with lots of effort. It is not easy to give this presentation so early. And now I have some observations which I shared it to you. Work on it. Come back again with more clarity. If you want me to give you rating as of now, I would rate this presentation on a scale of 10 at 6. I'm sure that you must not be feeling disappointed. But why? Because there are some
No, sir,
points.
not at all.
You see, this is a good presentation. You actually gave me confidence that students are actually ready with some topics. And because of you, I tell you, Aram, yesterday when she came to me, she was blank, totally blank. She spent 1 hour, and I don't have any attendance for that same 1 hour. And then I was not expecting her to deliver this much. She came up with the topic. I don't know who is helping her. There must be someone who is helping her. I don't know who is this. Like you see, hidden. Is the Iram? Anyone who helped you in this topic formulation?
No, sir. No
You
one.
you did it yourself.
I did it all by myself, by
Wonderful.
Google, by using
Very good,
ChatGPT.
very good, very good. You are very smart. All three of you are very smart. If you collaborate on one single area, I'm sure there is no one who is going to stop your capstone publication within timeline of 6 months. Okay, so I hope we have already done a lot. We started at 8. We started at 8. What was the time when we started?
Yes.
So now it is 9:46. I can let you leave this session 14-15 minutes earlier. No problem in it. And both the sessions are recorded. Just give me a minute. Let me stop that recording because this is also getting recorded.